I suppose I mostly curate digital art or new media art or art, as I like to say. And I guess I run lots of different types of things. I run festivals, exhibitions. I run workshops for young girls. So I do quite a variety of things in order to kind of encourage kind of a different way of thinking about technology and reflecting on kind of what are the kind of core values for kind of society, human beings, and our relationships to one another. So I guess that's always my approach, my underlying approach when it comes to kind of curating and to designing, is looking at those things, and I do that through this kind of very kind of technological perspective then as well. And I mean, it's kind of funny that you're talking about this idea of like STEM to STEAM. So I actually am a electronic and computer engineer. And then I decided that I felt like there was something missing for me there, and I moved towards interaction design when I did my master's in UL. And then through my PhD, then I ended up working as a curator. So I literally added the arts into my
like
STEM.
Zoe, I wanted to talk to you a little bit to kind of expand the idea of STEAM through your hero, Ada Lovelace, and talk a little bit, just first preface that with, I think of someone like Hedy Lamarr as a kind of hero in this space. So for people who don't know, Hedy Lamarr is a very famous Hollywood actress in the 1930s and 40s, but she was also famous for working with a composer and developing the patents around one of the key technologies for communication. So in your mobile phones and your Bluetooth, her technology called spread spectrum exists. And I was really intrigued by your Ada Lovelace reference and the kind of poetical science. So Hedy Lamarr and Ada kind of have these kind of resonances for me. So I was wondering, could you just tell us a little bit more about the poetical science and how that kind of, I suppose, is that a perfect blend of STEAM?
I think that poetic science was what she called the combination of abstract creative thinking with methodical problem solving. So combining, because her father, Lord Byron, the poet, from him you could say she inherited that creativity, and then her mother really encouraged her in mathematics, and she was an extraordinary mathematician. She also was a composer, and so she kind of came up with this concept and wrote about it, that if you have this triptych of the scientific, the arts, and the mathematics, and put them together, you can come up with visions of greater than what we see before us. And it's that sort of approach that she applied, and that's what she named poetic science. One thing I just wanted to add is that the whole sort of development of creative technology and all of that in the current climate is great, but it's this idea of bringing together different disciplines. It's not like the engineer needs to be an amazing creative person. It's about mixing them with someone who is an amazing creative person to create this interdisciplinary working that then can give birth to things that individually that creative won't be able to think of, and individually that engineer may not be able to think of, but together a group of 6, 10 to 15 people will come up with mind-blowing innovation.
Can I ask you, is what you showed us there novel spectacle, or does it actually really penetrate Intel? Does it make engineers there think differently? You know, has it changed your lives beyond being able to showcase your technology, if you know what I mean?
It's a two-part answer, right? So the stuff we've done with ESPN is spectacle, right? It is, you're sitting on your couch, you're watching sport, you're extracting some extra value out of it. You know, that's not art, that is enhancing your experience. However you rate someone sitting on a couch watching sport. I sort of think we're in an interesting place now. If I look at the artists and like the big shows, and some big dance shows that come through here, some very large music acts that are based here. If I look at their, to me right now, they are artists, in my view, trapped by technology, right? The technology is, you start over there, it's almost like lip syncing right now. The lights will light over here in 30 steps, and you better be over there for this effect. And you see that in all the shows. So I think we're at a sort of a waypoint right now where technology is overriding the artistic creativity, right? Because you're a slave to what's going on.
Okay.
I think really where the artists need to push now is to take control of that technology such that it responds to them and they control it versus what's there, right? So I think that's where I think the artists need to assert that antagonism.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
go,
very good.
it's lovely technology, but that's not actually what I wanted to do. I wanted to do something slightly different, and you know, and I think that's coming. I
And
think.
then how about you, the engineer, and the engineers in your company? Like, do they change by these interactions? Do they think differently?
We're early in that journey.
Yeah.
So, you know, I absolutely, you know, we've had in our labs, you know, we've had musicians in there now in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
They are being equipped with this technology, and frankly, they're literally out there a couple of months trying to see in their artistic interpretation of that what it will yield.
Yeah.
So we haven't had time yet to be done it, but we are very open to it.
When I was actually thinking about this panel, and I was asking a number of people who I work with kind of for what do they think about these things, one of my colleagues, he'd kill me for calling this out, but one of the things he said to me, and this is on the engineering side, he said, the language sometimes used in the arts community is impenetrable to non-artists. That has to change. So I laughed at that, an engineer. I laughed at that because if any of you have spent any time speaking to an engineer, you know we all speak in acronyms, and I could put a string of acronyms together and it'd be impenetrable. But I think the key thing here, and is what I notice an awful lot of the time, is that there is a privileging of one form of knowledge over the other, and we as engineers and scientists tend to think our knowledge outweighs your knowledge as an artist. And I think that I see that as kind of an injustice. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I suppose I'm lucky because one of my passions throughout from a very young age has been jargon.
Yeah.
So I have.
You love jargon.
I love the idea that different disciplines and expertise have their own way of communicating it. And that, for me, attracted me to those different disciplines. So, and I think why I became, for a lot of the time, called a producer, because I would work amongst these different disciplines and be the translator amongst them.
Want to be in the audience next time? Click here for tickets to Inspirefest 2017.